Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Lucard, and I am an HMIS System Administrator for Montgomery County. Today's training is going to be about HUD verification, what it is, how to do it, and why it's so important. As you may have guessed from its name, HUD verification, this is important to the funder HUD. This is going to be weighed heavily in any of the ways that you are ranked by HUD, whether it's in your SAGE, your Supernova, or some other ranking that you might be using for your program. The questions that fall under HUD verification are heavily weighed compared to other questions, so it's important that you not only do them, but you do them right. Let's go look at a client to show you what I mean. We're going to go here to Client Point, and we're going to look up Will Hobbs. We're only going to do a few letters of the name as always. Remember, we don't have to put the full name in. We just do a few letters here to see what we can get. W-I-H, because it might be under Will, it might be under Williams. We don't know. We want to do only a few letters, maybe 2 in the first, 2 in the last name. Minimum entry for maximum search potential. We click search, and there's William Hobbs. If you're not sure if it's the right client, remember, you should always take a look at that Social Security, date of birth, middle name if you have it, to make sure that those unique identifiers match up with the client in question. If we're sure we have the right client, we're going to click on the pencil. We don't have to worry about backdate. And we're going to go into the entry. We can see that the client has been in this program since 4/6/2021. And we're going to click on the pencil. We don't need to change the date because our project start date has not changed. And we hit save and continue. Now let's scroll down. Remember, every question on the entry screen must be answered. Relationship to head of household, date of birth, primary race, ethnicity, gender. We can see those are all answered. Client contact information, we don't have that yet. Does the client have a disabling condition? We said yes, but then look, we didn't fill out the disability. And here's one of the 4 places where we are going to see HUD verification. You see that in big blue letters with an angry red triangle? Anytime you see the angry red triangle, it means you need to stop what you're doing and fill out the HUD verification matrix. You can see it's under disabilities. You can see it's under monthly income / benefits. You can see it's under non-cash benefits, and it's under health insurance. These 4 questions are the HUD verification questions. They have a angry red triangle next to it, and that means that they haven't been done. If you do them correctly, the angry red triangle will become a square with a check mark, and the square will be green. So you'll have a green square check mark box to signify that you have done it correctly. Currently, in this client, none of the HUD verifications have been done correctly, so let's do them together. Now, one of the biggest mistakes a case manager or data entry person makes with the HUD verification is that they don't fully fill it out. They'll go over here and they'll go to disabilities, they'll click add, and they'll choose a disability. They'll choose one of these. Oh, well, our client here has a mental health problem. Disability determination, yes. If yes, is it expected to be long, continued, and indefinite duration? Yes. Is it going to be long term? We'll say yes and note on disability. You know, just something like that. We hit save, and they look at that and they're like, oh, yep, we answered the mental health issue, we're done. But you're not actually done. You see how the angry red triangle is still there? This means that you haven't done it correctly. You don't actually want to use the add button. Using the add button takes forever, and you have to do this for every single possible disability in the system. You can't just put in the one that they have. So what you actually want to do is go over here to HUD verification and click on it. This brings up a matrix for us to fill out. As you can see, it's got alcohol abuse, drug and alcohol, chronic health condition, developmental, drug abuse, HIV/AIDS, mental health problem, and physical. Now, if you were to use the add button, you would have to click add and create one of these for each of those possible mental issues or disabilities. Sorry. You would have to click that for each of the disabilities. And if you didn't, you would still have that angry red triangle. So as you can see, that would be 8 times you would have to fill this out. You'd have to click add, do say mental health, fill that whole thing out, then click add. Maybe it's drug and alcohol abuse. You'd have to do that for each of the 8, and that takes a long time. The fast way to do it is click HUD Verification, choose No for all the ones that you know are no, and then move them over. So in this case, if we're saying that William Hobbs has a mental health issue, we would go yes. And you can see we can fill it out here. It automatically fills out those first 2 boxes, whereas if you click the add button, it does not. And then we can just say, we hit save. And there we can see we've got the yes. Everything else is no. We hit save and exit. And there's that green check mark box that I was talking about. It goes from the angry red triangle to the green check mark to show that you have done it correctly. And again, there's 8 there. If you did click the add button, you would have had to fill this out 8 separate times. If you do the HUD verification, it only takes a fraction of that time because you're filling out the entire matrix at once and it pre-populates everything. And you can see there's our mental health issue. Same for income from any source. We see here that the answer is no. So we don't have to put any income in. We can just do HUD verification, click no, and hit save and exit. See how quick that was? And you get the green check mark because everything is filled out. And remember, we want to make sure that these answers are correct, because what if it turns out he does have income? We'd want to change that to yes, and then fill out the correct one of these. In total monthly income, we can see that is empty. No, we said no for all of these, so this should be a 0. Non-cash benefits, we can see no, but let's change it to yes for the purposes of practicing with filling out the matrix. Again, we're going to hit HUD verification. We're going to say no for everything except the one that we're going to say that they have. We're going to say they have food stamps. We hit save and exit. Again, we get the green check mark. It goes from the angry red triangle to the happy little green check mark if you want to go Bob Ross there. And you can see it fills out everything in just a fraction of the time. So using the add button not only slows you down, but it guarantees you a higher rate of data error, of making mistakes. Whereas if you do the HUD verification, you have almost a guarantee of doing everything right because it pre-populates all of the questions with that matrix. And the last one, covered with health insurance. We can see Medicaid down here and a Medicaid number, and it says he has it. So that probably means he's got Medicaid. So we click HUD verification. We choose no for everything except Medicaid because we know he's got that one. So that's a yes. We hit save and exit. And now we have all the green check marks. As you can see, that didn't take very much time at all. But we want to make sure that we do them because it is so important, because the HUD verification questions are heavily weighed by HUD in all of the ranking systems. So you want to make sure that you have a green check mark for every single one of these HUD verifications in every single one of your clients. I can't stress that enough. You need to get those in. All right. And let's show you a common mistake. We're going to move on to a different client. We're going to hit save and exit. All right. And this time we're going to look up someone new. Again, only a few letters. We're going to look up for a Jake Hager. 2 letters of each. There we go. There's Jake Hager. Now let's go in and take a look at their HUD. All right. Because you can still fill out the matrix wrong, and that's what we want to take a look at here. So we can see this. Does the client have a disabling condition? The HUD verification matrix has no for everything. But if we take a look at the question before it, does the client have a disabling condition? Yes. This is going to create a disabling condition error in your APR and other reports. Why? Because we're saying yes here, yes, he has a disabling condition, but we're saying no to all the possible disabilities, all 8 of them. So as a case manager, you would want to go back and figure out which of these is correct. Does the client have a disabling condition correct? If so, we need to correct one of the disabilities or more of them, depending on what he has, and change that from no to yes. If it turns out he doesn't have disabilities, we just need to change this to no. But we want to make sure, and you'll find that in the APR under disabilities where you're going to get an error because these two do not match up. It would be similar with income, but we can see here, does he have income? It says yes. And we can see they have earned income 250. So this all match up. Yes, he has income. Yes, he has earned income. Yes, it's 250. And we'll cover income in depth in several other trainings. Income errors are the easiest to make and the hardest to fix, which is why we're going to do several small trainings. So we can see non-cash benefits. Yes. HUD verification says yes, he's got food stamps, so that's good. Health insurance, no. No. So the only one we need to correct here, because someone did not fill out the matrix correctly, these two do not match up. We're going to change one of these. Let's say he's got a physical problem. His body's in bad shape after years of heavy physical labor. So all we have to do to correct it is go in, change the no to yes, change the yes, change the yes. But of course, these can be different. So for example, maybe he's got a broken leg. So he's currently disabled, but it's going to heal. It's going to heal fine. You could change that to no. But of course, this is a retired question. So you don't have to answer it, but I answer everything just to make sure. So we're going to say yes to all of these. We're going to hit save. And now that's corrected. Now you can see these match up. Does the client have a disabling condition? Yes. And then there we go. Yes. So everything matches up because no, 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 no. Yes. We've got a yes here. We've got a yes here. And again, the other place where we want to correct the HUD verification is in the interims. Remember, we only make changes to the entry screen if we've made an error on for the actual entry date of the program. So if we've messed up on his information based on April 6, 2021, we would make the correction here on the entry screen. If something changes on the client, we want to make an interim. So let's do one interim for Jake Hager together so that we can continue to follow up with the HUD verification. We're going to click interim. We're going to do add interim review. And we're going to choose update. Let's do it for today, April 30th, 2021. We're going to hit save and continue. And let's say, right, we want to go to the update screen, which is here, MC HUD, COC, and ESG update. We always want to go to the update screen if it doesn't pre-populate. And we can see, look, here's some of those HUD verification questions. That's all of them here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, oh, now he's on Medicaid, right? We're going to say that he started on Medicaid. So this is as of 4/30/2021. So let's change his Medicaid. We're going to change this to yes. All right. And you see how we've changed this to yes? All these are no currently, which means we have to finish completing the HUD verification matrix, or we're going to get an error on our APR. So we're saying that he's going to have Medicaid. We're going to change this to yes. Let's give him a Medicaid number here. We're just going to make it up. Big, long stream of numbers. And then we're going to go in and we're going to change his Medicaid. Now remember, this Medicaid started on 4/6 when he came into the program. Now we're going to say that today on 4/30, he finally got on Medicaid. We're going to click the pencil. Now, we don't want to change the start date because the start date is correct. He came in without Medicaid. If we change it to saying he does have Medicaid, it's going to say that he came in with Medicaid on 4/6. When he didn't, he started getting Medicaid on 4/30. So this is super important. We have to make sure that we don't mess up the original. What we're doing is we're going into this original one and we're putting in an end date. And we put an end date anytime there is a change to one of these HUD verification matrix questions. We're going to change the piece that we're talking about and give it an end date. So we know that he started getting Medicaid on April 30th. So what we want to do is put an end date in, and that end date is actually going to be 4/29/2021. Why? Because we never want there to be overlap. That end date is going to be 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds. That's what we're saying. We're saying this ends at the last possible second of this date, and the start date is the first possible second of a date. So if we have this end on 4/30/2021 and we start the new Medicaid with a start date of 4/30/2021, we're going to get an error because there's an overlap of yes and no for 24 hours. So we'd be saying both no, he didn't have Medicaid, and yes, he did if we did a 4/30. So we don't want that. We never want there to be an overlap. And so the end date is going to be 4/29. And the start date will be 4/30 because the start date is the date that the Medicaid started. So now we could hit save, but if we do that, we're going to get an error. Let me show you. Save. We've got the angry red triangle. And why is that? Well, that's because there must always be one item open for each of these HUD verification matrix questions. So as you can see, there's no end date in sight for other, for health insurance for adults, for Indian state health insurance, for private pay health insurance, for health insurance by COBRA, for employer provided, for VA medical, for Medicare, for state children's health insurance program. There's a lot, but there is one for Medicaid. Notice there is no open Medicaid. And that's because we accidentally hit save instead of save and add another. So let's correct it. If we hit save and add another, we do yes, health insurance type, Medicaid, covered yes. And we're going to say 04/30/2021. What the red triangle is looking for is making sure there is not a missing start date. There should always be a start date, an open start date without an end date for every single one of these questions. We hit save, and now it's happy. So why is it happy instead of angry? Let's take a look. Health insurance type, because now we have a full history here. His Medicaid was no from 4/6/2021 to 4/29/2021, but it's yes to 4/30. What we're doing is we're creating a full history. And if there's a gap in those dates, there's a gap at all in those dates, you're going to get that angry red triangle saying, hey, your HUD verification is incorrect, fix it. So if we hadn't done this step right here, let me delete it again to show you what happens. Because we want to have an open one for each type. You can see we've got an open for each type of health insurance. And by open, I mean there isn't an end date except for Medicaid, because we just deleted it. Now you're going to get an angry red triangle every time you don't have an open entry without an end date for each of the possible questions. So let me show that again. As you can see, we've got the angry red triangle because we deleted that Medicare. So let's put it back. All right. And there we go. There it is. Again, let's look at that matrix. Full one, we're going to do health insurance type. And we can see that this goes from 4/6 to 4/29 and ends on 4/30. So it's very important that you get your HUD verifications in. It's very easy to make a mistake by not starting a new one once you've ended an old one, or not filling out the matrix at all. We want to make sure that everything here is 100% done. Again, these HUD verification questions are super heavily weighed in all of your rankings. So you want to make sure that you have that green check mark by every client that you serve to ensure that you're going to get full points and your full ranking. That's all we have for you today. I hope you understood what we're talking about here with HUD verification. You know, we're always available if you have any questions about it. You can use the APR to make sure that your work is done correctly. And we also have a PowerPoint version of this training that you can follow along with as well. I thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you with other trainings down the road. Have a great day.